folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Urshan, and this week we are ranking the scariest Michael Myers of all time. Yes, starting with the least scary, all the way up to the scariest, most evil, most intimidating Michael Myers of all time. And in at the bottom of the barrel has to be the Michael Myers in Halloween Ends, as portrayed by James Jude Courtney in the film, but which is not his fault, of course. I think it's the script. It does a disservice to Michael Myers. It does Michael dirty because he's definitely at his most vulnerable and least intimidating in this film. We see Corey Cunningham, who's just a regular dude off the street, just roll over Michael Myers and steal his mask, and it's like embarrassing. He's just like basically a broken down old man, and yeah. In this film, he is definitely just a man, which Laurie actually says in the movie too. I've ran for you for years, for 40 years, but I realized that you're just a man, you know? And that's all he is in this one, is just a man, just an old man that's broken down and beat down and doesn't have a whole lot left in him. Next up, I'm going to say the Michael Myers in Halloween H2O. Yeah, I feel like a lot of that is because of the different masks that he wears. All these different masks, and none of them are really that great. And even a CGI mask. But even the portrayal of Michael Myers, it just doesn't feel as intimidating. He just doesn't feel as scary. And he just seems like almost a pushover in this one. You know, he's not that intimidating. And next up, I'm going to go with Halloween 4. While I do enjoy the film Halloween 4 for sure, I feel like the portrayal of Michael Myers is kind of weak. And I never really found it to be very scary. And a lot of that probably has to do with the mask. I think the mask is just awful and just like really way too pasty white, and it actually looks like William Shatner, I think, in this film. But I think they went a little too far with that. But I think the portrayal by George Wilbur has to do with it as well. I think he just feels very stiff, and we see him at one point with the shoulder pads, like stuffing him up to look like he's big and intimidating. But I don't know, I always felt that he was very stiff in this one, and he was just kind of a generic version of Michael Myers, especially with that dime store mask, you know. Next up we have Halloween Resurrection. Yes, Michael Myers from Halloween Resurrection, which was portrayed by Brad Loree in this film. I do feel like it was a step up from Halloween H2O. This Michael Myers did feel a little meaner, a little nastier, a little more pissed off, and he had some nasty kills. But obviously you gotta take points away, major points away, for him getting his ass whooped by Busta Rhymes with the trick-or-treat, motherfucker. And karate kicking him out the window. You gotta take points away from, you know, the part where Busta, dressed up as Michael Myers, you know, yells at him, and he just simply walks away. I'm like, what? Michael Myers is walking away just because some dude yelled at him? Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. But I feel like the mask was an improvement. The mask was scarier, and he looked stronger than the H2O Michael Myers, in my opinion. So one step above. Next up, I had a hard time figuring out where to rank this one. But definitely from here on in, these are performances that I really enjoy. And we're getting scarier and scarier as we move along here. So the next one up is going to be from Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Part 6. And whether you're talking about the producer's cut or the theatrical cut, doesn't really matter. But the performance by George P. Wilbur in this film, I think, is a lot better than what he did in Halloween 4. I definitely like the look of Michael Myers a lot better in Halloween 6. He's much scarier, and the portrayal is much scarier. And I think the atmosphere adds a lot to it, because I love the atmosphere in The Curse of Michael Myers. And yeah, some of the best kills in the series are in The Curse of Michael Myers. It's definitely a nastier, meaner, less stiff portrayal of Michael Myers in Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. So George Wilbur, I think, definitely stepped it up in this one. Next up, and this was tough, Don Shanks in Halloween 5. Yes, I know a lot of people hate this film. I don't. And I do think Don Shanks did a great job as Michael Myers, and I do think he's very scary in certain scenes. I do have to take a couple points away from the scene where he sheds a tear. Yes, I know. But he has some nasty kills, and I do enjoy the mask in Part 5, believe it or not. There's something weird about it. It's just off. It's just kind of creepy. And there's some great scenes of Michael stalking in this film that I think really add to the creep factor, like the scene where he's watching Rachel from the closet while she undressed. There's something very creepy and unnerving about that, and there's several scenes like that throughout the film, and it was great to see them bringing that back to the series, because I feel like that's something that had been missing for a while, seeing Michael like actually stalk his victims. Next up is Tyler Mane from Halloween 2 from 2009. That's Rob Zombie's Halloween, of course. And while this version of Michael is just absolutely brutal, just as he was in the original remake from 2007 from Rob Zombie, but I feel like I gotta take some points away because the mask is wearing out, and a lot of times you see him without the mask, which I don't think is as scary. And while the kills are vicious and brutal, I don't like that they added Michael Myers like grunting as he stabs people. It's just like weird, and I don't get why they did that. He didn't do that in the last one. Why all of a sudden is he grunting and straining himself? I don't know. But definitely I do love the scene at the beginning, which ended up being a dream, but when he's stalking Laurie through the hospital, and then on the outside in the pouring rain, when she's hiding in that booth and he's like smashing it with an axe, and that was a really cool scene, and very scary. And obviously Tyler Mane is very intimidating as Michael Myers. Is a huge he's like this huge beast, this monster of a man, Next up, I am going with the 2018 version of Michael Myers as portrayed by James Jude Courtney. And certainly enjoy this performance way better than the Halloween Ends version. Here they actually did justice to Michael Myers. And probably my favorite thing about the 2018 Halloween is how they represented Michael Myers. Everything they did with Michael felt right. It felt like they were bringing back that classic, scary Michael Myers from, the original Halloween from 1978, and this felt a lot like that. Certainly James Jude Courtney puts his own flavor, his own stamp on the character, but it's got a lot of that classic DNA from the original 1978, as well as a little bit of Halloween 2 as well, the original Halloween 2. So absolutely love the portrayal of Michael Myers, and James Jude Courtney just gets it. He's very scary, very intimidating, and awesome. Next up, I will say say what you will about the Rob Zombie's Halloween, and I'm not the hugest fan by any means of the Rob Zombie Halloweens, but what I do give Rob Zombie credit for is he did make Michael Myers scary again, because, after H2O and Resurrection, where we got really generic kind of cookie cutter versions of Michael Myers, this was a much more brutal, much more visceral, much more intimidating. He's got this big, huge, hulking monster. He's extremely strong. Now, this is a much more human Michael Myers. There's no supernatural element. But he's still strong as hell. Like, you do not want to mess with this Michael. He will carve you up and he will just eviscerate you. So this is a monstrous and nasty and evil and scary Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. Next up, we have what I feel is the most brutal version of Michael Myers, and that is Halloween Kills. Yes. I definitely feel like Halloween Kills, this Michael Myers was just devastating. He was on an absolute rampage. He was unstoppable and just annihilating people on screen, It was just crazy. He was like this super slasher, and he definitely felt more supernatural in this film. More so than the 2018, and certainly more so than Halloween Ends. He definitely had that supernatural element, like was hinted at in the 78 film and the 1981 sequel, and some of the others as well. I feel like this version brought that back to the franchise. And later on, of course, they, retconned that, but at least in this film, we had the badass, brutal, absolutely vicious Michael Myers, and very scary indeed, portrayed by James Jude Courtney once again. And what's going to be number 2? And it's going to be Halloween 1978, the original classic, yes. Definitely an incredibly scary version of Michael Myers as portrayed by Nick Castle and others in the film. Tony Moran did a scene, Tommy Lee Wallace did a scene, and others did as well. But most of the film, it's Nick Castle, and he does a fantastic job. And a lot of the scariness of Michael Myers is, him in the shadows and the atmosphere that John Carpenter creates, that looming presence, that sense of mystery about him. We don't know anything about this guy, It's before the sequels where they start explaining things. So right now he's just this psycho on the loose who's escaped from the mental institution. That's all we know about him, and we know that he's incredibly dangerous because that's what Dr. Loomis tells us. And that's another reason why he's scary, is how Dr. Loomis explains the character and how dangerous he is and how evil he is, how he's like this force of evil, this unstoppable force of evil. And that's what makes him so scary. Not only that, but the mask is incredible. Definitely the best looking mask in the series. It's that original, William Shatner mask that they spray painted white and they cut the eyes out and made them all black. And boy, does it ever work. And who is the scariest Michael Myers? In my opinion, of course, this is just my opinion. Let me know your opinions in the comments below, or if you want to do a response video, feel free. For me, it's going to be Halloween 2, I think, is the absolute scariest version of Michael Myers, as portrayed by Dick Warlock in the film. Who was a stuntman at the time, but here he actually portrays Michael Myers as well as doing all the stunts as Michael Myers, among other stunts in the film as well. But man, he just brings an evil, otherworldly presence. There's just something about this guy that's so creepy. I mean, he just feels like this force of nature that's just driven to kill. And, like the scene where you see him walking down the stairs and he's not even looking down at where he's walking or anything. He's just like looking straight ahead, and it's just so creepy. And the scenes where you see him just walking down that Haddonfield Memorial Hospital halls, and he's just creepy as hell. It just sends a chill down my spine. Not only that, but this version is much meaner, much more brutal than the original 78 one. He's much more pissed off in this movie. Even though he is supposed to be the same Michael Myers that we saw in the original, because Halloween 2 continues right from the original, literally. Just the moment after the original Halloween is when Halloween 2 starts, you know. And, but yeah, a lot of that has to do with the atmosphere. Once again, the lighting, the direction by Rick Rosenthal. And, yeah, the kills are much nastier, much meaner. And, yeah, I just think she's absolutely... To me, this version of Michael Myers is everything that Dr. Loomis was talking about in the original Halloween. Here, we see it up front and in your face. And the portrayal by Dick Warlock, obviously, he is brilliant in this film. Just so intimidating. And this is just a regular-sized man. He's not this huge hulking dude like Tyler Mane in the zombie films. He's just a regular-sized dude, and you do not want to mess with this version of Michael Myers. He's just scary as hell. Alright guys, that's it for ranking the scariest Michael Myers. Thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Good evening, folks, and we got some brand new merchandise for you over at www.thehorrorcona.com, and that's C-O-N-A.com. Representing the Horror Corner. Great new design. We got the Morbid Hour live stream there, you got the Horror Hangout live stream there, and you got my nemesis, the Dark Fate. So grab your t-shirt over at www.thehorrorcona.com. And we also got this beautiful new mug. Look at that. Very, very cool. Thought that came out really nice. So grab your merchandise today over at www.thehorrorcona.com.